So there I was, waking up to strange noises making me think I accidentally joined a Pokemon roleplay Discord at midnight. But turns out it was just some kind of beaver or something.
We made it.
Anyways, I left the garbage truck of a ship and immediately threatened the locals who assumed my pronouns.
I'm sorry. I thought you were one of them.
Huh?
Well, that didn't matter because now I was being shot at by some kind of barge filled with pincushions made of flesh.
Hey! We don't have to do this!
I said, giving them false hope I'd let them live another 5 minutes, which ended up turning into 20 seconds.
There we go.
This pink pufferfish looking bug told me to go to the local town for parts and that I could take a speeder for my convenience.
That speeder in your ship will get you to Miragana City easy.
So I shoved them out of the way, got situated, invited my koala on board, and immediately crashed. Tried to commit roadkill, polluted the watering hole, and crashed again. But that was okay, because at least I wasn't being chased by bandits for murdering.
Bandits? Oh, come on!
And so I murdered a bunch of bandits for merely existing in the Star Wars universe at the same time I was there. Unfortunately, in my elegance of masterful escape, I ran into the only pole in the wilderness.
Bandits are still after me.
I proceeded to get hopelessly lost, crashed into a gas station, killed the owner over the ridiculous fuel inflation costs, and headed towards the big city made of cities. Obviously, the place was locked down, so I walked around real inconspicuous-like to fool them into believing I was a stormtrooper. But they pulled me over anyways.
Let me see some identification.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I gave them my Fortnite business card.
You're Torin Valerio Nup.
That's me.
All right, move along.
And with that, I had made it to the most beautiful and safe city where no shenanigans ever happened. I roll dodged across the entire town to avoid pickpockets, told my aardvark to rob a business in ruin, and went to the cantina to get absolutely sloshed on blue milk. Fortunately, they hung a bunch of string from the roof which kept me captivated for hours. But somehow, instead of getting a drink, I found myself in a ventilation shaft. And from there, walking right into a room with a pike underboss.
That looks like an underboss.
And that went as well as you'd expect.
Waste of time.
Well, I walked out of there and into a giant squid.
Stealing from a pike underboss. First day?
I was thinking calamari, but then she offered me a job, so I figured, why not?
I'm a broker for every job on this moon. Out here, you live and die by your reputation.
And if I could die by my reputation, that meant I could kill others by theirs. The perfect occupation. And with that new influx of motivation in mind, I headed straight over to the pikes who I'm sure loved me. So I sicked my antelope onto one of the guards, which they didn't appreciate.
Just passing through.
There's another way. The vent's around the corner nearby.
And with that, I found myself in another vent, crawling deep into the pike territory. They literally had no idea I was there, and I intended to keep it that way. But then I realized something. How would I ever make a name for myself if I didn't just assault everyone? So with that thought in mind, I began to beat the ever-living tar out of every pike one by one. Sometimes I'd sick my cat on them, other times I'd just break their jaw. It all depended on how I was feeling. As I made my way deeper into pike territory, I came across the most advanced lock-picking system ever made. Rhythm-based. Luckily, back in the day, I dabbled in Guitar Hero for the DS.
We'll be okay next.
After platforming my way through the pike's rather elaborate and well-put-together ventilation corridor pathway filled with puzzles, I came across exactly what I was looking for.
This pike operation looks huge.
A big room. I had options on how to approach this sort of situation.
Okay, we can go loud now. If we gotta.
And so it began!
So much for going quiet, Nix!
There was no time to waste. There were pikes in this room being things that I couldn't tolerate, like a lie. I just opened fire, blasting away at whoever was stupid enough to come into work that day. The whole room was set up like a giant paintball arena, ladders for height advantage, buildings to cower in. The only difference was that instead of leaving welts, my bullets shredded the flesh of my enemies, leaving them to die in a pool of their own blood and failure. And after what felt like an endless wave of buffoons attempting to put me down, a silence filled the room. Everyone was dead, and I could finally sneak my way into the rest of the Pike facility, stealing every useful trinket and incriminating piece of data I could find. They also forced me to hack into an early 2000s Macintosh computer by playing Star Wars Wordle. Facebook moms everywhere rejoice. After robbing the place, I made my way down to the lounge, killed the unsuspecting guards that didn't even know I was there, and platformed my way out of the Pike station, expertly approaching every obstacle except for the time I fell to my death. And just like that, I was out of there, not a sweat off my brow.
I think we're good, Nix.
I ran by a band of pikes that clearly didn't get the memo fast enough, knowing that they were heading home just to find all of their friends and family murdered. Well anyways, I gave a gambling junkie all of my money to fuel his crippling addiction.
Thanks. Come back later. You won't regret it.
Then, after slaughtering all those pikes, obviously I sided with the pikes.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
I mean, you know the saying, keep your enemies close because knives are quieter than bullets, etc, etc. And then I found out my little badger can rob people. So I ran around town stealing every last dollar off of these bottom-feeding, barrel-scraping scum suckers. It's honestly what they deserve for working regular jobs. That's also when I found out the pikes liked me now and would let me freely go in and out of their village. So I killed the guards, and the guards guard, and the guards guard, and finally the guards guards. And then I left, hoping they had learned a valuable lesson this day. I made my way out of the city, met Iron Man, didn't look both ways, twice, and finally made my way out of the city and into the great beyond. All the way back to that gas station now under new management. I went in for a slushie, but ended up overhearing a conversation about some sort of secret something rather. So I stole their wallets and Star Wars'd my way across the tundra biome, admiring all the graphics and textures and things that existed, until I discovered the reason why everyone is going to buy this game. This. Seriously, the game looks pretty good. So good I launched myself off a cliffside and survived with only minimal spinal fractures. I made my way to the local town and got called by minimum wage job lady who had a job.
Get inside and take what's in there.
All right. I can do that.
Good.
That was all the information I needed. And with that, I Star Wars dirt biked across the world, did donuts on some guy's property, and made my way to the place with the thing that has the stuff. Of course, in my attempt to assassinate a civilian, all I ended up getting was a punctured lung.
Stay sharp, Nix.
You look like you can handle yourself on a speeder. You want to race?
You know what? That actually sounded fun. So instead, I shot up a pike outpost. It started off as just a prank, good fun, tomfoolery. But the pikes overreacted and treated me like I was some kind of psychopathic murderer. Very quickly, I lost my temper, and the whole scene deteriorated into nothing but senseless slaughter. A real mess, honestly, and now I had to clean up what the pikes started. It truly was frustrating that no matter how kind I am to people, it's always met with aggression and anger. So I decided I would end this war by downloading 300 illegal copies of Horton Hears a Who onto their computer and then tip off the cops.
Your talent's wasted on the Huts.
Unfortunately, I was stopped by some sort of thing demanding I hand over the pirated movies.
What if I say no? Now that you know who I work for, I can't let you walk out of here.
Oh no, what a morally ambiguous choice. I wonder what I should... And with that, I rhythm hacked my way into the pike base and killed everyone inside with 10 tons of detonators. I was proud of the work I had done here today. The only problem was no one was alive to tell about it. So I immediately opened fire in the town nearby to alert everyone of my presence. Now, of course, who would I be if I didn't at least shoot up most of the townsfolk, creating an even bigger story to tell at the local cantina next week. Besides, I left just enough of them alive to make my valiant escape, did a bunch of donuts on their freshly cut lawn, and decided it was about time for me to hit up a little local place I like to call space. My first order of action in my newfound discovery of space was to immediately gun down an Imperial fuel station without hesitation.
You are in unauthorized space.
Our Darius G-class freighter ran into some trouble. Had to switch to this ship for your, cargo delivery.
Unfortunately, a bunch of punks and TIE fighters decided to escort me to the interior of the craft, meaning I'd just have to kill everyone from the inside. So although we were technically here on business and had no beef with the Empire at the current moment, I began shooting every living organism I spotted where it stood, bringing down the heat of the entire galactic empire right on my head. Luckily, I had two things to get this job done. A gun and the mental willpower to believe everyone else is beneath me.
Okay, Data vault, it's in the...
I hacked into the ship's data vault and located the Empire's secret stash of canceled Star Wars games. There was no time to waste, so I punched a stormtrooper. Turns out that hurt, so I just shot them. I shot all of them, every last one of them. Crawled through the Imperial's vents, killed every human in sight, and finally arrived at the landing bay where one pathetic lowly guard was placed as a sacrifice to me. Well, apparently killing Imperials makes them cry and piss their pants, so the entire base was in an uproar for literally no reason. The drama that broke out here rivaled the last 10 seasons of The Bachelor, and it was so unnecessary that I had to murder everyone in the entire room, even though I was supposed to stealth this area. It really became this whole thing, honestly. But after quite literally tearing this room to pieces and killing everyone in sight, the ship was quieter, more peaceful. It made me realize that the only way to truly have peace in the galaxy is mindless violence until the other guy stops talking. Then I met a frog in a jar, blamed the wannabe bandit gang for everything.
All right, Boss Knock. Erase Crimson Dawn's debts on Tashara.
Jordan's not gonna like that, which means I love it.
And we snuck out of the Imperial craft without anyone noticing. We were like shadows. Assassin's Creed shadows, maybe even, where without making a single noise, we maintain complete discretion without ever having a single eye so much as bat in our direction. Here I spent like 15 years trying to match the rhythm of this door to get through, and then finished off any remaining troops still willing to throw their lives away to me, the human version of a trash compactor. We beelined to the ship, but unfortunately, for the Empire, they sent their best pilots after me. Instead of running, I turned around and went straight back to the ship to take on whatever they could throw at me. The amount of tax dollars I burned that day was an insurmountable number. After I had had my fun and taken the lives of numerous Imperial pilots just following orders,
We've lost them. No.
I returned to the planet without a single trooper alive to tail me back. And at this point, there was only one thing left to do. I gambled away every credit I just made, baby!